on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with producer Alden Iwani. Our very special guest today is Legacy Academy Silverbacks head coach Bryan Clampitt. Silverbacks are 7-0 and ranked 4th in this week's NMOT polls, right behind Santa Rosa, who they'll face off against here in a couple weeks. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Honored to be along for the ride with you.
Yeah, Coach, we looked at, I've been watching, I cover some high school football. I told you I'm the voice out at Western, but I read everything about, high school football around the state, and James Yotis and the Albuquerque Journal and the writers there do a great job of covering. Your team is 7-0. And I mentioned the victories against Laguna Acoma, 48-0. Close one against Hope. That's the closest one you've had, 21-20. Hozo Academy, 53-3. Santa Fe Indian, 55-0. McCurdy, 54-0. Win over Raton, which is an impressive, 34-0. Capitan, 54-0. You got Estancia, Tucumcari, and Santa Rosa left. Tell us a little bit about the Silverbacks. You went from 8-man to 11-man. Tell us a little bit about that. You might want to tell people that what's not available in 8-man that there is. It's a big jump, man. It is. It's not a small one. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think first I have to mention, with this kind of year we're having this year, it's hard not to say that the blessing of God is on our team. I wish I would have told you I predicted this much success, but I didn't. And like you said, we started in the 8-man level 2 years ago. 8-man, I thought it was very similar. Obviously, you have 2 less linemen, 1 less wide receiver, but there's a lot of intangibles, if you will, that are quite different. That if you don't have some speed, you're going to struggle at the 8-man level. And so our first season, we struggled. We were 2-6, and then we got a couple of kids are, growing up. They're maturing, so we had a little more talent on the team last year. We did a little bit better, made it to the playoffs. And then this year, as we move into the 11-man game, it's just more our speed. This is what I'm used to. We have a great coaching staff, great group of guys. They're used to the 11-man game. Our boys have some experience now. And like I said, the blessing of God's on our team. I think a lot of our kids have hit puberty. And so that's tremendous. And they're putting on some muscle. They're getting bigger, stronger, faster. And all those things combined have led to a great year so far.
Yeah, and you've got it. It's been a quick season. You've got 3 games left against, and it's 1 game at a time. I know you've got that approach, but you have to be excited. Did you expect this success this quick? I mean, you mentioned 2-6. You got a great background here yourself. You played a 2-year starter, all-district quarterback at Hillcrest High School in Dallas. You also played here from 2003 to 2007 at UNM under head coach Rocky Long, Scout Team Player of the Year in 2006. And under the great Rocky Long, man, everybody that I've ever talked to, you had to have taken something from him. But first, did you expect this success this quick with the Silverbacks? And I know you mentioned God's got a way of working with things, but did you expect this success this quick?
I had high expectations, but to be honest with you, not this high. I wouldn't have told you we're going to be sitting here in October 7-0. I knew we would do well. I knew we'd have some success, but the fact that we're having this much success and have a real shot at the district championship and a shot to make a deep run in the playoffs, I don't know if I would have said I was expecting that.
You got to be excited. You mentioned some of your coaching staff. We'll get to that a little bit later. But when you're sitting up at number 4 in NMOT and Eunice and Texaco, they've got some established programs. They do. Eunice has a stadium, man, that that's the envy, man, right? That stadium down there is nice. Texaco has been on top and in 2A for a long time. And then right underneath them is Santa Rosa. And again, you got to be, that game's on the schedule, but you've got Estancia and Tucumcari first. And you have to take care of them first because you don't want anybody to start. And it's hard not to, because kids, no matter if they've reached puberty, are still kids, man. Right? They see that and right away they're like, hey, man, what about this and this? And you got the coaching staff saying, hey, we've got this first and that first, then we get to them. But it's, it's natural for any kid to say that, we want to beat them, but first things first with Estancia this weekend.
Right. And it can be challenging. Everyone's got cell phones and social media these days. They're checking the rankings probably more often than I am. And so that they know who beat who by how much. They're checking max preps every week. So they know. And so we do have to keep them focused. But I think our guys are humble enough, experienced enough to know it is one game at a time. It's 1 week at a time. But we do definitely have our sights set on Santa Rosa, and we're looking forward to that. We know it's going to be a challenge, but we think we're going to do well.
Coach, I got to ask you this. You played in Dallas, and you were all district out there. You came here and you played for Coach Long, and Coach Long is the best coach New Mexico's ever had. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
New Mexico had its greatest success when he was the head coach. I was so sad to see him go to San Diego State and wear those colors. I was mad for about 2 years about that because he's a Lobo. I told you this morning, I listened when he played quarterback, man. That's how old I am.
Yep.
And that's how great he was, right? What did you learn from him? Because you had to have gotten something. You were there 4 years, man. The guy prepared, right? He's in the weight room, outlifting a lot of people at that time. He's the guy, right? They took on the personality of head coach, the team at that time. Tough, physical guys, man. We had Ian Clark on. Ian Clark, oh man, Mike Mahoric. Those dudes, Frankie, I can't remember what his name was. Frankie Lagone, Blake Lagone.
Frankie Baca, Frankie Solomon, Blake Lagone. Oh yeah.
Nick Spiegel. Those guys were some tough players, man. They really were. But talk a little bit about Coach Long and what you learned from him. You were there 4 years, and you had the opportunity to play for him. What did you learn from him?
I had a great experience playing at UNM. It was definitely one of the highlights of my life for me. It's kind of funny. While I was there playing at UNM, I didn't like Rocky Long that much. I mean, he was a defensive guy. I was an offensive guy. He was never going to be your best friend. He was never all that friendly. It was just kind of cordial. It was just kind of all business. But then after I graduated, looking back and evaluating on my time there, I realized what an incredible coach he really was. He got so much out of the players. We never had the greatest recruiting classes or anything like that. We weren't the most talented group of guys, but the way he worked us and the way he motivated us to perform was just second to none. And so I take so much from his hard work ethic, that blue collar style, that you might not be the best, but you're going to be the most physical. You're going to be the hardest working. You're going to hit the hardest. Like, we might not win the game, but you're going to hate playing us every single time. And so I really value Coach Rocky Long and a lot of things he instilled in my life and as a coach and as a man.
You mentioned it's kind of funny that you said that, because were you there when Coach Mendenhall was there too?
You know what? I got there the year after he left, but there was a lot of great stories about him. Everybody thought really highly of him. And so I was sorry I missed him.
You mentioned Landrick Brody said that. Curtis Flake said that Coach Long would say that we may not win, but you'll remember. It's almost like that movie, The Day We Played the Titans. I want you to remember.
Yeah,
almost like that. And so I think the physical, and that's what Coach Mendenhall. I go to the press conferences. He talks about physicality, and he talks about that. And he doesn't have the guys he needs on defense. Not yet. He'll get them. I guarantee he'll get them. The offense is looking good, but the defense is a little behind. But that's interesting that you said that about Coach Long. System wise, when you came here, and you've got the numbers, man. We'll get to the numbers in the second half of the show. Your offense is off the charts. You're averaging 7.8 yards rushing. That you're winning on first down, man. You're winning. You got you want to win on first down. That way you're not behind the sticks on second down. Right. So philosophically, what did you come here to with Desert Academy as far as the philosophically? You mentioned speed, stretching the field. Was there any kind of certain offenses or systems you wanted to play offensively?
It's really been an evolution for us. So my offensive coordinator at UNM was Bob Toledo. He was one of the many offensive coordinators I played for, but he had that West Coast style. And so when I first started coaching years ago, I kind of adapted that, but then I learned very quickly at the high school level, you just have to simplify it. And so I took that West Coast, and then another year at UNM, we ran that spread option. It was kind of the Urban Meyer. innovation. Dan Dodd was our coach. Another coach we had was Dave Baldwin. These guys were great coaches. But so I kind of took this combination of all the things that I learned when I was playing and then simplified it down, essentially made this West Coast spread for dummies, and tried to implement that. And then I realized, gosh, we got to make it even simpler. From there, just kind of doing a deep dive into all things offense and seeing what everybody else was doing. I read a great book by a guy named Randy Jackson on the fast and wide offense, and he really learned from Art Briles' system back in the day at Baylor when they were having so much success. And so I just kind of took a combination of all these things, made it as simple as we possibly can. And so the whole idea behind our offense is that we want to be simple, look complicated, and be able to play and execute fast, up tempo, so that the defense can't catch up. And so I hope that kind of makes sense behind our philosophy.
No, it's kind of funny because Coach Malpin at Artesia is a friend, and when he was at Los Lunas, so you see all these guys, and I had Desmond and I on a couple of weeks ago, Coach Johnston at Monzano. Everybody's tinkering with what works best for your personnel, so to hear you say that, and Art Briles, man, yeah. And so it's a spread out wide open game. You were a quarterback, right? You heard Tom Brady on Sunday. He was mentioning how receivers plant, and boom, then the ball's there. His breakdown was amazing. The guy, of course, 7-time Super Bowl champion. He should know a little bit, So, yeah,
it's just unfortunate what happened to the Cowboys.
Man, come on, Coach.
We don't have to talk about that,
though. You're from Dallas. I'm a fan since 70, man. Since 70. Exactly. But you know what? It's a football game, baby. It doesn't affect my life, right? I still got, still got my granddaughter. Lord's blessings, right? No matter what, on Monday. Feet still hit the floor. Jerry Jones didn't call me to see what I thought. So life goes on, man. But I was very disappointed. But lately I've been disappointed a lot. Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about your offensive personnel and your defensive personnel after these messages on the Sports Desk.
All right.
Red zone. Now it's going to be a big handoff. Cam Dyer keeps it himself and runs right into the end zone for the touchdown.
We have a clock going, unofficial clock. 38, kicking it into space. It's in the area. Nice job. Kick, good. It's gold. St. Pius gold, if you will.
Down the right sideline. The intercepted. Is he inbound?
He certainly is.
He is.
The snap, here comes Posa, and he's brought down.
He's going to have that in the back of his mind this time. And this time, there's no doubt. Eagles swallow up for the safety there. Unabated to the quarterback. Joseph Garcia comes in and makes the play.
Here it comes again. And that, he just kind of played a little sugar, little wheel.
Open. Cut. There's Dallas at the 20, 15, 10, touchdown Academy. And Brock was hit as he threw.
At least this evening they are. Takahashi, play action pass. Airs it out. Open. Caught. Oh, what a catch. What an amazing catch by Jace Pitt. And it's going to be a lot.
He's always got blocks on the right side. 40, 35, 30, 25, 20. Holloway is gone for a touchdown. We said he was due for it. There it is.
Yeah,
Dyer in pistol formation. Snap, fake handoff, throw left side. And Jaden Parsons down the sideline. Green grass in front of him. Will he get there? 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Bears.
Salazar's first made and attempted field goal. This is fielded at the 20-yard line. And it's handed off there. Look at all this space. Midfield and not looking back. Sideline and gone. Maybe down at the half-yard line. Touchdown! Ochoa takes it all the way back into pay dirt.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. Your host, Ed Nunez. Coach, you mentioned the Silverback 7-0 have Estancia this week, and you put up some incredible numbers as far as your rushing game and your defense only yielding 3.28 points per game, man. And that's impressive. Defense wins games. It's going to win you some games. Got some tests ahead. And we mentioned Estancia, Tucumcari, and Santa Rosa. You got to look forward to that because I think as a coach and you're somebody that played, your defense has pitched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shutouts. But as someone that's played and you've been around the game, you have to look forward and say, you know what, I want to know what we are against that team. What we've done that. We should beat them, but I want to know how we are against whoever. Santa Rosa at the end of the year. You still got 2 games. Tell us a little bit about your offensive unit and your defensive unit. I saw your Lorenzo Cedillo Erman, your quarterback, is I think is very high rated as a passer. Tell us a little bit about your offensive unit, and we'll go to your offensive unit. We mentioned, I think you're averaging something like 14 yards a catch, 7.8 yards per rush, which is impressive. When you can run the ball, you can do just about anything. Tell us about your offensive unit.
Yeah, we got a great group of guys. We kind of talked about the system already, but at the end of the day, the system doesn't matter if you don't have players that can make plays. And so our quarterback, Lorenzo, is a junior, had a year under his belt last year, and just having a phenomenal year. He can beat you over the top, and he's a good little runner himself. And so he can he can stand in the pocket or he can scramble around, and we have some designed run plays too. But he's having a great year. I think he's leading the state in touchdowns right now. At running back, we have a two-headed monster, a couple of our seniors, AJ Casada and then Noah Sanchez. But they're just big, bruising running backs that, you know, will really wear a defense down over the course of a game. And so really happy with those two guys. And then we got some Blazers on the outside. Adam Chavez is having a great year. And then Bryant Scales, he's a tight end, wide receiver type we can throw it up to, but really just excited about our offense. And then you can't talk about a good offense without mentioning your offensive line. Those guys are just doing so much better. They've really gelled, actually experienced a couple injuries, but it's been next man up for them, and they've just been a good, strong, tough bunch. And so it's been a great year for the offense. But like you said, defense is so key. Defense wins games. Defense wins championships. And I got to give a lot of credit to our assistant head coach and defensive coordinator. You see him there a second ago, but his name's Joey Romero. He was actually a GA under Coach Rocky Long.
Really?
So he has the 3-3-5 system down, and so that's what we've been running as a team, or at least a version of it. And he's just a phenomenal coach and really has our defense prepared and ready to play each week.
Coach, I want to, before you mention some of your defensive players, Brian Scales, you mentioned him. His father was a heck of a ball player back in the day, man. He's got, his dad was really good, and a good man too. I get to talk to his dad still a little bit, but there's some athleticism he got from the old man, and maybe from his mom too. You just can't say it's the dad all the time. Sometimes it's the mom too. But I got to ask you this. You mentioned, I didn't mean to interrupt you, when you mentioned the 3-3-5, a version of it. Ian Clark said it took him, I don't know how long it took him to learn that when he came at UNM. Ian. Ian is one of the toughest players that UNM ever had, ever. I feel comfortable saying that Ian was tough and is still feeling the, remnants of, colliding with a lot of people to this day. Right. Guy still looks like a beast, though, man. Guy's still a beast. But talk a little bit about the version that you're running without, giving it away, because that's not an easy defense to learn. It's not. But it'll confuse the heck out of people if you run it right. Correct?
Oh, it's so confusing. All, 5 years at UNM, I never figured it out practicing against them every day. And but now that our guys are running it, and like I said, I'm thankful to have our defensive coordinator, Joey, who's really got a handle on it, and I just kind of release it to him. But, it's a 3-3-5. Every once in a while, we're bumping down to like a 4-2-5. So it's kind of that nickel package. We have an extra DB that can help in the pass, but also is run support. And so we have a lot of different kind of looks, but we like to blitz. We like to put pressure on the quarterback, and it also helps us stop the run at the same time. And a lot of those same guys that I mentioned on offense, your AJ Casada, Noah Sanchez, Adam Chavez, those are the same guys. A lot of our guys are playing both ways. It's Iron Man football. So AJ's our starting middle linebacker and is just a force in the middle of the field. And then David Lavery is another guy. He's our free safety. He's got a couple interceptions on the season. And then we rotate a couple of our offensive tackles in at nose guard. And they're just plugging things up right there in the middle. So a lot of our guys are playing both ways and just really doing well. And part of that goes back to our off-season program as well. Guys really worked hard in the off-season to be in the kind of shape it takes to play both ways and play both ways successfully.
You mentioned Lorenzo Cedillo Urban, 125.4 quarterback rating, which is, he's thrown 4 interceptions and thrown for 20, ran for 26. Is that thrown for 26?
Thrown for 26.
Jeez. That's some Madden numbers, man. That's some Madden numbers. There's look at the rating. You put that dude in Madden, right? You want to play him for sure. It makes me laugh that all these college guys can play with their numbers now, and they're on the field, and that's so funny to me. But that's cool. I think that's pretty cool. And he's also rushed for 253 yards as a team, 1,115 yards. We mentioned 7.5 yards per carry. which when you do that, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, hey man, it's fun time, right? Because you can do a lot when it's manageable on 2nd down. And then we mentioned your receivers, 1,336 yards receiving, 18.8 average. Look at that. Those offensive numbers, you got to look back and you're not satisfied. No way. So you're like, hey man, we're doing all right. You have to be right. We can, and you're still tinkering.
You can't be too mad at those numbers, that's for sure.
And you're still tinkering and still changing and still learning. That's what I love about offensive watching. And you mentioned your defense. Talk a little bit about some of the players on defense. You mentioned some of your offensive players. Tell us a little bit about some of your defensive personnel and they're what they're doing.
Yeah, kind of like I mentioned a moment ago, but a lot of these guys are two-way players. So AJ Quesada is our middle linebacker and also our running back, but he's done great. He's the leader of our defense. He's a captain. He's becoming more of that vocal leader, that great example. And then we have really an up-and-coming young linebacker named Xander Chavez. Really excited about him. Just a sophomore this year, but he's tough. He flies around, and I think he's going to be a great player. He's a little small right now, but he's probably one of the strongest guys on the whole team. So excited about him in the future. And that's what's really exciting, Ed, is that we do have a great group of seniors. I think we have 6 or 7 of them. However, looking ahead to next year, we got a lot of talent coming back. And so I don't expect us to drop off very much, if at all, and just speaks to the guys' hard work and development. So the future looks bright for both the offense and the defense at Legacy Academy.
You're building something there. It's something building culture, right? It's what Coach Mendenhall's trying to do at UNM. It's tough, it's hard, but it's good that you're looking forward to that. But I also know as coaches, I coached hoops, and you're looking forward to what's in front of you, and it's hard not to look right the game in front of you. But you've got some challenges, and you got to be happy with where you're at. You've done an excellent job there, going from 8-man to 11-man. The Silverbacks, as we mentioned, ranked number 4 in this week's NMOT poll. Texaco, Eunice, and then Santa Rosa, who's your opponent the last game of the season, is ranked the 1, 2, and 3. And then you come in at number 4 and a game against Estancia this week. Coach, what's it going to take for the Silverbacks to bring home that blue trophy, man?
I think we got to continue doing the little things right. That's what I've been preaching to our team, is that when you have these opponents that maybe aren't quite as challenging as others, it can be easy to lose focus, not give as much effort as you could or should. But we can't do that. We can't allow ourselves to slip into those bad habits or those lazy habits. We got to continue doing the little things right, staying focused, being detailed, making sure we know our assignments and we're executing. And so that's kind of what these next few games are going to be about, fine-tuning things, developing those good habits, playing hard all the way through the whistle, taking care of the football. And I think that will prepare us well going into Santa Rosa for the potential district championship.
Coach Bryan Clampitt, head coach of the Legacy Academy Silverbacks. We sure appreciate you being our guest today on the Sports Desk, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me. Grateful to be here.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.